Hey y'all, my name is Dejanay Durham. I'm an Orange Key. I'm a senior and I'm a fall 2020 Orange Key. And today we have Jordan Chang here with us today. Would you like to introduce yourself, Jordan?
Sure, thank you. My name is Jordan Chang. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm the Assistant Director of our Center for Diversity and Intercultural Affairs, and I am excited to join y'all today.
Okay, that's perfect. Today we are going to talk about the cultural caucuses. Can you start off by really telling us what are the cultural caucuses and how many do we have?
Sure. So we currently have four caucuses at the institution housed within the Center for Diversity and Intercultural Affairs. They are the African American / Black Caucus, the Asian / Pacific Islander Caucus, the Latinx Caucus, and the Lavender Caucus, specifically for those that identify as LGBTQIA.
That is great. And the caucuses are composed of student and faculty, if I'm not mistaken. How do you choose who serves on these caucuses?
Yeah, so our caucuses, they're comprised of students, staff, and faculty, which makes it really unique. Selection is really done by identifying students first. Looking through OrgLink, looking at some of the cultural student organizations that we have on campus, specifically for the Lavender Caucus, there is one LGBTQIA student org, so that was easy to identify. From there, it's a matter of contacting the advisors and then asking the students for, is there a staff member or maybe a professor on campus within this group, this community, that you think would be a good resource or beneficial to this caucus? And then it's a matter of reaching out. I will say this upcoming academic year that we're in, that we've just now started, CIDIA is planning to do major outreach to build within these caucuses and have a better buy-in, I should say, from faculty and staff.
And how are these caucuses, how are they supposed to differ from the student-led organizations?
Great question. So student organizations, they're that, right? They're student organizations. Caucuses, they're combined with students, staff, and faculty. So oftentimes, at the institution, students feel as if they're alone. And that, sure, there's an advisor. However, think of it as a group or an organization where you have students, staff, professional staff, and faculty all within, one branch working for the same mission. So, you have input from those at the institution that you normally don't see every day or talk every day within your student orgs that can probably provide you with some good guidance. So the major difference is that these caucuses are comprised of students, staff, and faculty. So you're able to get more input from a perspective that you're not necessarily familiar with.
And one of the reasons why I really wanted to talk about these caucuses because they're fairly new, but what was the purpose? What purpose are these caucuses are supposed to serve? What inspired you to create them?
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with the inspiration first. Caucuses at Sam Houston State University, the inspiration came from NASPA. NASPA is the National Association for Student Personnel Administrators. It's basically the parent organization for those that work within student affairs, which I do in the division here at the institution. These caucuses, they're member-driven networks comprised of students, staff, and faculty that empowers its members to explore, key topics or issues pertaining to their community and to explore personal identities while here at Sam Houston State University. Additionally, caucuses allow members to support community curated resources, opportunities to leverage expertise into meaningful initiatives at the institution, and then to participate in developing strategies to advance important discussions and topics that we should be having in the setting of higher education.
And that is great. And you talked about wanting to do more outreach with the caucuses. How are these caucuses supposed to serve our student body?
Yeah, so I think oftentimes through my experience, at least I can say I advise quite a bit of the cultural student orgs on campus. And oftentimes, the student leaders and the executive boards of these student orgs, they feel as though that they are alone. That oftentimes they're having these events and there might be something that they're missing that they didn't know of. And then it almost seems as if, something negative happens and then it's a strike against them. So they're kind of in the lost with it. With faculty and other professional staff in the mix, it kind of gives it a level playing field and an opportunity to have meaningful discussion where students, can say, okay, well, Dr. Such and such mentioned, let's try this instead of that because we're more likely to have more buy-in from the campus community if we have this event done that way. So I would say caucuses serve the student body in the aspect that it's not just from the student perspective, but you have meaningful and well-intentioned faculty and staff here on this campus that would like to help the students out. And I think that's how it serves the student body.
So is it kind of like taking the desires of the student and matching them with the experience of our staff and faculty to kind of come together with the common goal?
Yes, absolutely. And oftentimes, and by all means, this is no offense or not to diminish the students' knowledge and passion and research more about identity development. But oftentimes you have faculty and staff that have been doing these sort of programs and events and research for years, for decades. So when you have that sort of level expertise or even knowledge, students are able to gain a lot from that, and it would benefit the campus community.
How are students able to express their concerns to these caucuses so that certain concerns or certain things that the students feel may be an issue could be addressed by the caucus?
Sure, good question. So caucuses, they're housed within the Center for Diversity and Intercultural Affairs. We, as I said earlier, we're working on major outreach this academic year to kind of get information and promotion about all these different caucuses and way of reaching them. But as of right now, diversity at shsu.edu or our center's physical location, the Loman Student Center, room 315, are easy ways to get a hold of any of the caucuses. What happens is communication gets sent to diversity at shsu.edu, our center, and then we then relay it to the various caucuses.
And are students who are not on these caucuses able to participate within the caucus and help these caucuses and things like that?
Sure, allies are welcome.
And do you have any kind of upcoming programs or activities that these caucuses are doing?
Yeah, so currently during Welcome Week, the caucuses host their community mixers, and the community mixers are sort of a networking experience and opportunity for students that identify and allies within a certain community to kind of share, on-campus resources, off-campus resources, some things to do around campus, some key issues or challenges that students, staff, and faculty find within these communities and how they can work towards it. So that's going on right now. Outside of that, the caucuses, they're kind of self-driven. Mm-hmm. So they have the opportunity to create their own initiatives. If they want to do a town hall, if they want to do, something for their respective Heritage or History Month, they can do that. Currently, they are funded partially through the Center for Diversity and Intercultural Affairs. Caucuses utilize some of the programming budget that we have just to kind of give it a kickstart and a jump, because I mentioned earlier, this is a fairly new initiative. So outside of that, you'll see the various programs that the Center for Diversity and Intercultural Affairs has, and caucuses sometimes are co-sponsoring some of these events and programs.
Mm-hmm. So coming out of a summer of a pandemic, of March for Equalities, is there any role that you hope these caucuses play to serve as an outlet for our student body?
Absolutely. I think that, this summer 2020 has been one that is extremely unique, and it continues into the fall semester. It didn't stop over the summer months, right? Both COVID and racial slash social justice slash anti-racism education. Um, my vision for these caucuses, within their own particular niche, but also on the bigger picture of um, embracing your identity and promoting social justice. I hope that students, combined with the staff and faculty within these caucuses, reckon and kind of understand the time we're living in and the moment we're living in, and how important higher education is to kind of curating a student's journey through life. So I say all of that to say these are important times, and I think when I say we, I mean the caucuses, we will utilize these times to kind of further promote education as it relates to social justice and diversity through our programs and events and our discussions. We mentioned COVID. The community mixers, for example, all of them are being held in a hybrid capacity. So students, staff, or faculty can attend in person, but only up to a certain capacity because of, the room limit. So while we have an in-person capacity, though, we have Zoom going on at the same time in the same room. So we're kind of understanding and recognizing that, we need to meet the expectations of these caucuses, but we need to do so carefully. And because of that, we're providing it in a hybrid model for students to attend to. So that is just a little example of how we're kind of addressing COVID concerns. As it relates to racial and social justice concerns, I know that the various caucuses are working towards looking at realistic and important initiatives that need to happen and take place to kind of further this anti-racism education that needs to happen within higher education.
That is great. I really am happy that we're getting the chance to really talk about this, because when this idea came into fruition, I was really excited for all these different caucuses and all these different voices to be heard on multiple platforms and multiple steps with students, faculty, and staff. So I think this is great. I think y'all doing great thing, sweetie. Do you have any last comments or concerns or any last things you'd like to tell everybody about these caucuses or about yourself?
With the caucuses, to anybody watching out there, if you're interested, please, by all means, come to our office. And if you can't make it, or, with COVID going on, you'd rather send an email to diversity@shsu.edu, by all means, go ahead and do that. We're always open to suggestions. If you have any concerns, please go ahead and let us know. You don't have to be a student leader that's, already the president of a certain org to be a part of a caucus. If you're a commuter student who hasn't been involved before, but this is important to you and you'd like to get involved, do so. This is a level playing ground. At this moment, certain, executive boards have not been set. There are no executive boards. This is just an avenue for student, staff, and faculty to kind of express ideas, initiatives, to talk about resources. So it definitely helps with identity development. And above all that, it's definitely an opportunity for networking during your collegiate career. So I recommend you all to kind of check them out. In addition to that, I can't do a Zoom recording without mentioning the Center for Diversity and Intercultural Affairs. We have quite a bit of programming going on this academic year, all in a hybrid model. So on top of the in-person activities and programs we're doing, we're ensuring that we're doing some virtual capacity to these events, whether it be Zoom or social media. So really quick, I just wanted to plug in our social media handles. On Twitter or Instagram, you can follow us at SHSU Diversity, or on Facebook, you can find us SHSU Center for Diversity and Intercultural Affairs. Outside of that, that's all I have. Thank you, Dejanay.
No problem. Well, y'all heard it here first. They got a Facebook, they got an Instagram, and they got a Twitter. And y'all are just doing great things. Thank you so much, Jordan, for taking time out of your day to really talk about these things. You always do great things. Thank you so much.
Of course, you too. Thank you.